Hello, friends. Welcome back to the channel for another near-death experience interview. Today with Phil Siracusa. Phil was born and raised on Staten Island, New York, grew up in a household of 8. Throughout Phil's career, he has owned several fitness centers and slowly moved into the sales communication industry. Phil is also known for the infamous Haunted Horsefly Chronicles home in Easton, Pennsylvania, and is a host on Horsefly Chronicles Radio with his wife, Julia. They have 4 boys together, and he is a proud grandfather. Philip has been to heaven having a near-death experience in 1981 when he had a severe reaction to nitrous oxide at a visit to the dentist office. From this experience, he has become a spiritual advisor, helping others restore their faith. I will have all of his links to his social media and his radio program in the description, as well as his email. Today, Phil's going to share about his near-death experience, which has some unique elements to it that you won't want to miss. And tomorrow, as usual, we will be coming back for a Q&A. Thank you guys so much for watching. Here's Phil. Hello, Phil. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to talk to you and hear more about your near-death experience.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Would you like to start by just sharing your near-death experience and any information that you feel is relevant?
Sure. Well, in 1981, I was 14 years old, and it was a routine visit to the dentist office. My mom had taken me, and I remember the dentist, I guess he found a cavity, and he was pulling, one of the things he uses to pull the teeth, like to see what's going on. And I felt like he hit a nerve, and I felt this pain. And so they gave me sweet air, which is nitrous oxide, laughing gas. And I was breathing it in, and I was still feeling pain. I was pulling his arm away when he was working on me, and then they gave me more. And then they took the mask off, and then I remember myself floating upward out of my body. And I'm at the ceiling looking down at my mom, the dentist, and the assistant. And I remember saying, "Mom, can you see me, Mom?" But she couldn't see me or hear me. And then I was pulled through the roof of this office up into the sky, and the building was getting smaller and smaller, and I'm getting higher and higher up in the sky. And then I was pulled into some kind of a wormhole, a vortex, a tunnel of energy. And it was very dark, and I was pulled very, very fast, my spirit body now. And I just remember the wind force of being pulled. It was as if I was going thousands of miles an hour through this tunnel of energy. And I couldn't really, through the mind's eye, it was hard to see anything. It was just black. And it had turns, and it went forward, and then it had more turns, and just kept going on and on. I really don't know how long I was in there for, because there was no time on that side. And then I would say halfway through, I started to hear melodies, not songs, but melodies. And I started to feel comfort within the vibration of these melodies. And then, for example, from miles away, I would see a pinhole of light, and I was slowly going towards it, and then opened up a magnificent crystal blue sky right in front of me. It's like another world had opened up, and I took in love, complete feelings of pure love and bliss. The brightness and the clarity, as if you could see through the sky for as long as it kept going. And I remember, to the right side of me now, I'm slowly going over a landscape, and the landscape is beautiful. It's immense. There is no distance and measure of size, because it just kept going on. And there were different type of colors in the landscape. So I'm taking all this in and I'm feeling every vibrational thing of, I know it all now. I know where I am. And I called it to my conscious mind home. I felt like I was back home, the soul, where the soul started, maybe back in a past. And as I'm going through this landscape, I'm drifting, not running, not walking, I'm drifting over the landscape. And I remember this angelic being, and this is so significant to me because of what happened. She had long blonde hair, crystal blue eyes, and she was a mirror image. I was 14, and she was coming towards me from far away in these fields. And she was talking to me through a form of telepathy. And she was pulling me and talking, I want to show you what's here. I love you. And I'm feeling the vibrational love coming from this angelic being. She didn't have wings. She looked just like we would look in the physical realm, but very vibrant and very, very energetic. She's pulling me through a vibrational feeling through the fields, as if it's like she's like a magnet pulling me, and I'm just going with her and I'm loving it. And then she takes me to this garden, and I call this the garden of love. This garden, every rose, every flower, every tree, every leaf, every blade of grass that I've seen was beyond the simple words I would use right now of perfection. It was beyond that. In fact, there are no words. It's as if I was looking at creation itself and I was feeling the creation through a vibrational, loving energy that I was raised to this higher frequency in heaven. And the most simple things are the most loving things and caring things, because over here we can look at a flower and a rose and we can appreciate it. When I was in heaven, you can feel its pureness of everything about it, the vibrational energy from it. It's as if everything was alive and had its own light dwelling coming from it in sort of sense. I seen, as she's pulling me through the garden, I seen tens or if not hundreds of thousands of people like myself, souls. They looked very, very good, and I was way above them, way, way above. And I remember seeing in a far distance through the mind's eye. I would have a 360 degree of vision through the mind's eye in heaven. And I could see all around, and I seen homes. And it's as if these homes were created through the soul's thought process of how each and every being, when they crossed over, wanted their dwelling to be and feel and look like. The perfectness, the mist blue, and as we're going further now into the garden, I look up and I see these rings in the sky. And these rings looked like they were miles and miles wide. They were circles in the sky. Perfect, perfect skirt. I seen two of them. And from the vision that I had, they were about 100 miles from each other, but the clarity of what I was looking at was like they were some kind of openings that I would believe today, looking back, led to something else, like a portal, for example. They were tremendous and they were beautiful, beautiful. They had a glowing light around them, and they were, like I said, they were miles and miles wide and long. And that's one of the things that I remember, that I guess it's like a portal. So as she's pulling me through this vibrational energy of love, and I'm loving everything that's happening, she brings me over to my grandparents. And my grandma had died earlier that year, and my grandfather I never met because he was deceased before I was born in the physical realm. And then she slowly went away into the fields, this angelic being. And my grandpa's looking at me, and he has a top hat on in a suit. He looks very good. He's like in his 70s, but not the 70s that we would recognize in the physical realm. Perfection of 70s, that glowing energy, and as if that was what you should look like on the other side. That's how he looked. And I remember him saying, "Hello, Sonny." And I says, "Hi, Grandpa." And he turns to my grandma and he says, "What is Philip doing here?" And my grandma had a blue dress on that she was buried in. She looked very, very good. And I was so happy to see her. And she points her finger at me and says, "Go back now." And I remember saying through my mind, this is all telepathic, "Grandma," but I was pulled backwards. My soul's body was pulled into this tunnel of energy again, going backwards very, very fast. And it was very, very dark. It was the same tunnel that I came through, this vortex. And through my thoughts and consciousness, I kept saying, I don't want to go back, meaning back to that dentist office and feeling the pain. I want to stay at my grandparents. And I kept thinking it through the conscience. And I stopped in the middle of this tunnel, and I'm slowly going backwards now towards heaven. And I start to see the light. And as soon as I get to the opening again, I'm pulled backwards the opposite way towards the physical realm so fast that now my thoughts are not even helping me stay in heaven. And I I was pulled so fast, and I was scared at one point because it was so dark. And it's as if I was lost alone in the universe. That's how I felt, like no one's ever going to find me. And it just kept going on. And there were these turns in this tunnel. And then I was pulled over the ceiling of a hospital, through the ceiling, looking at the body. And I kept saying through my conscious thoughts, I'm not going back into that body. I'm not going back. Because I was young and I was afraid and I didn't want to feel that pain. And now why was I brought to a hospital? And we're all energy. And I guess when the other side says you have to go back, you have to go back. And somehow I remember slipping into the physical body as if I was putting on a shirt, just slipping right into it. And I'm gasping for air, and I see my mom and the doctors, and I'm gasping for air. And I come to, and having that experience, I'm 54 years old today, and I could tell the world the reason I'm doing this, and I want these messages to get out, is because it is real. This is not a illusion. This is not a part of a chemical imbalance from medications. This is real. In fact, heaven is more real than we are in the physical realm. And it's hard to understand that to actually cross, but it's as if this is the daydream that we're living, and that is the real reality of us, of our souls. A couple of days later, I left the hospital, and at 14 and 1981, trying to talk to my parents, and I was in heaven, and friends. I had a large variety of friends, and no one took it serious. They just took it as, oh, you probably fell asleep, and you were just dreaming. And I knew it was more than that. So I lived life as a normal teenager. I didn't. I would think about it, but I really couldn't talk to anybody about it because no one was open enough to understand it. And back then, remembering back then, no one talked about near-death experiences or out-of-body experiences. No one, not in New York, not where I grew up, no one talked about that. A year later, it was summertime. I was 15 years old. I was in the backyard of my parents' home in Staten Island, New York. And this is the most significant thing that's happened to me. Through my thoughts, I asked God, if I was really at your home, please give me a sign, because I don't believe I was there, because no one believes me. The next day, my mom took my brothers and my sisters for a walk on our street. She's like, let's go for a walk. It's a beautiful day out. And when people ask, do miracles happen? They do. We're halfway up the street. To the right side of me, I feel this presence. And I turn, and it's the girl from heaven. And I'm looking at her, and as I says through the mind, you can see me? She says, of course I can see you. And then I verbally say, you can see me? As if the telepathic went first, and then it was the voice. And Mom, I was shaking my mom, my brothers, look, this is the girl I was talking about in heaven. And my oldest sister says, I see her. And she's walking and skipping and laughing with her, and she sees her. And that right there resonated with me, that this was real. And she says to me, this angelic being, now she had on a light colored mist blue shirt with flowers on it, blue jeans, sneakers. And again, she was the mirror age that I was. And she was so vibrant and filled with love and energy. She was, I felt heaven through her. For this angelic being, I felt heaven. And as we're walking and laughing, and my mom and my brothers are walking ahead of us, and my sister's acknowledging her, and I was so ecstatic. And then she slowly faded out of my vision. And I'm asking my sister, where'd she go? Where'd she go? And we're looking around on the street. We're looking all over on the street. But she wasn't there. And then we ran and caught up my mom and my brothers. And I took that as, this is a miracle. I asked for a day before, a sign. Well, a few years after that, in a dream state, she came through. This angelic being came through in a dream state, and she looked so good. And I felt she came through because she was trying to reassure me of where I was, not alone, and she'll be with me until I come back home. Now, for years, I've talked to many people, and it's really hard to explain in detail when you can't prove it. My sister can prove it by her voice and how she explains what happened. I can only explain it by my voice, but miracles, the impossible sometimes becomes possible. A few years ago, at the age of 51 years old, I was going through a lot of problems, and I had self-doubt of things in the physical realm. I was just dealing with a lot of different negative things. And I went to bed one night, and she appeared. And when she appeared, not only did I feel and see, I mean, she took me by a vibration in the dream as well, and was pulling me over land, and I was feeling this euphoric love, this unconditional pureness that she was making my spirit body feel. When I woke up the next day, I felt alive again, as if my soul was rejuvenated and plugged in. I felt good. I felt really good. And the problems that I had, I no longer was thinking about them, because I had solutions for everything at at all those problems. It became like, why was I even dwelling on that? And why was I so down and on myself and so negative? And as if I could see above all these problems and I was able to fix them, and I was. So my friends and the listener and the viewers out there around the world, I want you to know that miracles are real. Heaven is real. My experience is real. In fact, a couple of days ago, my sister and I were just talking about this again. This is something that is in the burnt, suppressed memory of our being that we go on. And that's what keeps me going in the physical realm in this lifetime, knowing that this is a journey that we've chosen. And when this journey is complete, there is this other side that is unconditional, euphoric, bliss, mesmerizing. People ask me today, well, Phil, if you're really in heaven, did you see God? Did you see angels? Well, I believe she was an angelic being, but she didn't have wings. And I didn't see God, but I was in the light, and the light was love. And I felt like the love was the creator. So then that was the light of God. There was no doubt, because once I was pulled into that light, the light is everything about us. It's as if we have this unconditional knowing of, I'm back home, and we feel the soul's peace from within. Today, you know, up until like a couple of years ago, I won't call myself a healer, but there's some people that I've visited in hospitals, and what I do is I hold their hand. I put myself into the memories of where I was in heaven, and sometimes I ask for healing in the way that I know. And again, I'm not a healer or a practitioner or anything like that, but sometimes I'm able to help people because I believe that that vibration, God was showing me something, that if you have unconditional love and no doubt within the being of yourself, and you do good for all mankind, that you can help others. And I consider myself a messenger, helping people in the physical realm as best as I can, of course. Um, that's what I do. That's what I talk about. And I want people to know that the possibilities of love are endless.
Phil, thank you so much for sharing your story. Not only did you have a very unique and beautiful experience, but the wisdom that you brought back from it is just amazing. So thank you. Do you
Yeah.
have time for a few questions, or was there anything more that you wanted to share?
I started doing these interviews because I want people to know, never give up.
Mm.
And of course, we all have self-doubt and we all have problems in the physical realm. You see, when I was in that tunnel and it was dark and I felt like I would never be found, I was lost in the universe, that pinhole of light that I was pulled to, I want people to know that every door in your life may be closed and you may be dealing with so much, but it's that pinhole of light. Open it up through the consciousness of yourself. And I could promise you that things will happen and change for you in a better way. Never, ever give up. And that's the lesson and message from my near-death experience that I want people to know is it's not about, of course, we all need money in the physical realm to live. But more importantly, it's what you can do for your fellow man. You see, it's not what people can do for you, it's what you can do for people. And when you give out and you don't expect nothing back, because you shouldn't, another thing will open up in your life of pureness and happiness, where not only will you feel restored in your faith, but you'll feel this contentment from within you of helping others. And from that, I believe miracles can arise. And people ask me also, I've been asked many times, well, what else did you see in heaven? Well, this was the part of heaven I was in. But you see, where our perspective on our thoughts is, well, you've seen grass and trees and leaves and flowers and roses, but it's more than that, because the most simple things are the most purest things, are the most loving things.
Mm,
And when you can accept that and feel it, you have everything. So
mm,
in essence, you don't need to be greedy and say, well, I need all the material things in the physical realm because without that, I won't be happy. Well, the contentment of the trueness of our souls and happiness in heaven is the most simple things. And if that's a million times greater than the feeling that we have here of wanting everything for ourselves, the takeaway is appreciate the smallest things you have because they're the realest things you'll ever have in the physical realm. And when you cross, you're going to see that for nature, for the beauty, and for the love, and for the essence that it really is.